Hello there, guys. Good night. Good evening. Melissa, I was ready to go to bed. I've got Melissa Mason here with me, guys. I'm going to be doing a full intro in just a second. But before that, check out Melissa's performance in front of the New Hanover County School Board. Check her out.
Hello, I'm Melissa Mason. Our schools are failing. Instead of educating our children, the board wants to treat the whole child, as stated in policy 6140. This board continues to ignore reading, writing, and math while giving schools tasks they have neither the competence nor the right to perform. Schools are not healthcare providers. Schools are not parents. But as shocking as it sounds, this board has enacted policies to take away your right to parent your child. During a Title IX meeting last school year, a policy was addressed for a gender support plan. The support plan assesses a parent's level of acceptance for a student's gender change. If the support is assessed to be too low, schools can reassign your child's gender and hide the information from you. Yes, you heard that correctly. This is classic grooming behavior. Keep it a secret between you and me and don't tell your parents. And when we discuss gender roles and sexual relations with children below the age of puberty, that's sexual abuse. But this board continues to enact, defend, and when necessary, hide these disgusting criminal policies. I understand there's a need for mental health support, but it's not the school's job. We need to get out of the business of mental health and hospitals and get back to the business of educating. You can find more information about this and me at melissaforeducation.com. Thank you.
Okay, you can see, Melissa, that you got a standing O from the gallery on one side, and the other side were perverted, progressive, grooming, ne'er-do-wells who, I don't know what their problem is. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to go over this gender plan, but I remember talking to Peter, who's your campaign manager, showing him this gender plan that I found and said, what are you guys doing about this? What are you doing in New Hanover County Schools to combat this awful gender plan? And he and you didn't know about it, and neither did anyone in the entire district. Tell me more about what you thought, how you felt when you learned this was going on in your own school system.
You see it in the news and you think, oh, it's not going to happen. It's a little town. There's no way. And then I sat and I watched the actual meeting video, and it was just disturbing how calmly and coolly and easily they were willing to say, we know better than the parents, and so we're going to make these decisions because we're more enlightened than they are, and we know what's best for your kids. And it was extremely disturbing, disgusting, and it angered me because I have kids in the school system and I don't want them messing with my children. They're my children. I got them for a reason, and I'm going to raise them the way that I see fit. It's not the school's job.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. And what you're talking about, of course, is that Title IX meeting where here's how it works, guys. There's a Title IX coordinator in every school, not a separate full-time hire, but maybe the librarian or a nurse or a teacher, whoever. There's a designee in every school. You need to check out and find out who yours is. This was, as I understand, the Title IX coordinator for the district, who went on to say, look, we here at this school, we need to balance the parental rights with the wishes of the student. And he goes on to say, he's not talking about high schoolers. He's not talking about 18-year-olds who might be a junior or senior in high school. He's talking about K through 12 students. And he makes it clear in this meeting over and over again.
Yeah. And he says case by case. It's a case by case basis. No, there should be no case by case. This is the deal. They are the They are the children of these particular community members, and those members make the decisions. You don't make a unilateral decision for students. You don't make a case by case decision for students. That is overreach, and it's not acceptable.
No, it's unconstitutional too. And I want to show everybody exactly what we're talking about so you get a good feel for what this is. We're going to go over this together. Okay. So this is, you will see. Okay. This happened, I guess, at a Board of Ed meeting that was virtual. And people may have missed that, right? Because I think this is just when people are starting to get spun up about what's going on. Actually, this is in the midst of the pandemic. So this is the fog of war, Melissa, right?
Yes.
Where people are worried about, what's going on with the schools, what's going on with COVID. We really didn't know. So let me go over this policy. Oh, by the way, guys, the guy in this, the Title IX coordinator said, hey guys, I'm borrowing this policy from the university down the street. That would be UNC Wilmington. And I'm just adapting it for the K through 12 population. Totally inappropriate. Unbelievably, this is a deliberate and willful attempt to subvert the family unit and to disrupt completely civil society. We always say this, Melissa, I know you're going to agree. This will not stop until we stop it.
Absolutely.
Right? It's just going to keep going on. So you'll see here, names, the school, name student uses, name on their birth certificate. So already, if you're a Susie, you can be Frank. Students' gender identity, whatever the hell that means, and students assigned sex at birth. Totally demonic already right off the bat. Okay. Oh, yeah. Now check this out. This is really what pissed me off. Parent or guardian involvement. Are the parents or guardians aware of the student's gender status? On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 is not at all supportive, 10 is highly supportive. Rank the parent support level. Are you kidding me? The government has a right to rank my parenting?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they think that this is acceptable. Well, if you go back up to the thing that kind of pissed me off was if the support level is low, what consideration must be accounted for in implementing this plan? So it doesn't matter if the parent supports it or not. How are we going to implement this? How are we going to push this forward? What are we going to do? What steps are we going to take?
And when we say we, make no mistake about it, the government. This isn't a friendly bunch of church family. This isn't someone's extended family. This is the government. How can the government implement this plan without the parent? That's the translation, people. Okay, privacy and confidentiality. Who knows about this, et cetera. I mean, it is conceivable based on my interpretation of this is that a teacher could do this and leave the principal out of it or a counselor out of it or whatever. In other words, they can have this little secret deal with Susie or Johnny and not let anyone know. Is that what you get from reading this?
Absolutely. And that sounds very much like grooming. If you have a secret that you don't share with your parents between you and a teacher related to sexual content, that sounds like grooming.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like it because it is.
Exactly.
And that's the reason. So who will know, blah, blah, blah. Students open with others. I mean, this is sickening. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if the student has just, asserted a degree of privacy, what happens if it's compromised? So what happens if Johnny gets called the wrong pronoun? How should teachers respond? This is Orwellian. This is unbelievable. What we're looking at is sick.
You know, what's interesting, Sloan, is my son goes to middle school and he has come home talking to me about they, them. And I've had to look at him and say, which gender is this individual? Use that pronoun, please. Because they, them is not accurate.
Right. And we don't say around here, we don't say gender, it's biological sex, right? Gender is a language game. It's right. Biological sex. And, you were teaching, Melissa, at a very early age that God doesn't exist. The reason why is because God doesn't make mistakes. So guess what? If he intends for you to have, to be a female, you be a female. And by the way, we have gay parents in our coalition. They all agree. In fact, a couple living in your neck of the woods, and they are probably more pissed off than the straight parents. They are really furious that this is being done. This is not appropriate to be doing. And, you know, Melissa, gay people feel correctly that the transgender movement is not only trying to erase women, it's trying to erase gay people, because what you're telling would be teens and adults who can make their own decision, what you're telling them is, hey, guess what? If you're attracted to a member of the same sex, you need to change your gender because that's not okay. Right. So
Yeah.
it seeks to erase. Right. And that's what they say. And I can kind of see their point of view.
Yeah.
You know, safety. Oh, this is really another one, you guys. If the parents aren't supportive, what adult can we assign at the school that will support this child through changing their gender? Again, what member of the government can we assign to caretake for this children?
And it's like I say all the time, Sloan, I don't co-parent with the government. So there's no other adult that you can go to discuss my child other than with me or my husband.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. What, if any, will be the process for periodically checking in with a student in our family? What in the wide world of sports does that mean? This is crazy. What if they
like what is the yeah.
No one, by the way, no one's trained in school to do this. And by the way, you had it correctly. What about reading? What about math? This seems like it takes a hell of a long time to fill out, probably to oversee preferred name, preferred pronoun, name empower school, gender empower school. Of course, now you know the Department of Public Instruction has made it so that teachers and principals cannot see the biological sex of children in Power School. Yep. That's another gimme to the LGBTQ lobby, and not even is to the transgender movement. Because again, a lot of people who are gay, they are completely against what you see. Mm-hmm. So it does have a spot for the caregivers to sign, but again, we already know that if caregivers, you know, if they don't get it, etc. And that now it's going into, let us, okay, tell you what the law is. So the law, nowhere in the law, even in Gavin Graham, nowhere in the law, I'm going to talk about this for a second. Federal law does not say that it is permissible to do this. In fact, it is still unconstitutional to do what I just showed you. It just says, unfortunately, and we are going to reverse this. Unfortunately, the boys can use the girls' bathroom. We're going to reverse that. But that's the only thing that it says. So this would be going against the law. So I bet you didn't know this, Melissa, and we're going to do a better job of reporting this. But there were 3 senators who came forward with a law in 2021 that would have stopped this. The senators, you guys, are Ralph Heiss, Norm Sanderson, and Warren Daniel. And the law, it exactly addresses this. It says that the government and no agent of the government can groom children, basically is what it says. And it said that the parents had the right to opt their child out of any curriculum that sought to inculcate children with this transgender ideology. And it also said, correctly, restated parental rights to know if a child's experiencing gender dysphoria, etc. Melissa, that bill made it nowhere. It's still sitting there.
Of course. And you know, it's unfortunate, Sloan, that we actually have to have this written down. Like, this should be common and like common sense things. Parents have the authority over their children. Like, there should be no question about that. I don't ever remember growing up and going to school and having any program such as this or any kind of sexual content. There was permission slips sent home. There was conversation with parents. And the fact that they're trying to do this behind closed doors is disgusting. And how on earth are they? It's mind blowing to me. And so that bill sitting there doesn't surprise me, because it should be common sense. It really should be.
Common sense. It ain't that damn common. As
I know.
you know, it's not very common anymore. So I want to show you, let's talk a little bit about social emotional learning. This is from the DPI's own website. Okay. This is core competencies in social emotional learning. So Melissa, you and I are talking about the after. Okay. But the before, and that means the inculcating children with this, I don't want to be this gender anymore, the brainwashing. That is happening because it is a state mandate, state required that in all 12 academic subjects, social emotional learning must be taught, be it in math, PE, whatever. So they're getting this brainwashing, Melissa, not once a week, not once a day, but potentially 12 times a day. Now,
Yeah.
you will see here, what do you see here on the right? You see a dude clearly dressed up as a chick. Okay. So equity elaborations. Okay. This is part of the SEL and then the equity, because equity means changing your gender. Just when you hear that, when you see equity, it means BS. Engaging in identity exploration and coming to a resolution regarding one's own identity. This is social emotional learning.
Yeah.
Melissa and Sloan didn't write this up. This is social emotional learning according to the State Department of Public Instruction. So this means brainwashing into a different gender. Okay. Examining the importance of both personal and collective identities. That means a collective identity is all white people are the same, all black people are the same, all black gay people are the same, all white gay people are the same. It is stereotyping right there, recognizing one's own biases and deriving constructive meanings of social identities. See, these nitwits believe that gender or biological sex is a function of culture. That's called a moron who doesn't believe in science. We know that it's nature. Okay. We are in the real world, right?
Correct.
But these guys are saying, let's collective identity, don't just be black and gay. Hey, let's go for a trifecta, black, gay, and Jewish. Okay. And you see where I'm going with this. You want to just add on and add on. Recognizing one's biases. Okay. Grounding and affirming of cultural heritage. Well, we know if we're white, that we're white supremacists and we were slave owners.
Yep. Oppressors too. Don't forget that.
Can't forget that. It's Friday, so I'm given to forget every now and then. Thank you. Recognize how everything is interconnected across diverse contexts. Okay. None of these things make sense, and none of them are the job of the schools.
Correct. And you know, Sloan, it's interesting to me because it all kind of makes sense from their end, because this social emotional learning, well, of course our kids are having these mental health issues. You know, they were out of school for almost 2 years and they were covering their faces for almost 2 years, and they have mental health problems. So it's the school's job. It's the school's job to take care of the whole child. The whole child. No, it's not the school's job to take care of the whole child. The school's job is to educate, math, reading, science, social studies. That is the core responsibility and only responsibility of a school system. And when you throw in mental health and when you throw in making medical decisions, you've already stepped out of your lane. Stay in your lane.
Right. So, you know, let's talk about the school can't even take care of 1/10 of a child, much less a whole child. Look at the school wants to be entrusted with mental health and doing good things. Let me explain to you what you're looking at right here, guys. You're looking at scores, the end of grade test results. End of grade, that means the state actually makes the scores. This isn't nationally normed. Thank God, or else this would really be in the can. Both English, okay, and math scores from grades 3 to 8. Okay, so you see here in 92. All right, we're doing good, doing good, doing good. Okay, doing even better, 80.9. All right, cool. So right here, we take a dip, okay, in 2006. And then right here in 2012, that was just, you know, that was the zenith of performance. What happened in 2012? The state officially endorsed Common Core. Boom. Now, right about here, when we're never going to be at 80.9, right? We're at 30.8 in 2019. And guess what comes along? Social emotional learning. So this is the job that the state is doing, educating our children. You're looking at it. So if you think they can do a better job at, let's see, exploring identities with your children, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. So, I like the point that you made in your speech. You're like, look, you're failing at what you're actually supposed to be doing, and you're really changing the entire purpose, if you will, of what an education is supposed to be. Is that where you were going with this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have, at this point, our school has a 50 to 100 grading policy. We have kids dropping out. We've lost a ton of kids from over the past 2 years, and none of these little agendas or plans or social emotional learning is really helping. It's not helping. And instead of looking at where the real problem is, the reading, the writing, the math, we are so focused on things that just don't matter. They just don't, I mean, they matter, but it's not the school's job. It's not the school's job.
So how are the other parents reacting to this news? Have you gotten any feedback?
I have had several parents reach out to me and in shock and horror that this is actually happening in our system. And I think that it still needs to spread some more, because it is relatively new, but the more people hear about it, the more horrified they are, and the more they want to get these particular individuals out of our school board and replace them with people that actually have common sense, conservative values that are going to bring it back to, this is what we teach and this is what we don't teach.
Right. So. Just basics. Now, let's not forget, guys, I just want to give you a bit of perspective here on New Hanover schools. You guys have had a lot of problems, to say the least, in your school, right? So there was 9 perpetrators over 12 years of sexual abuse in New Hanover schools, and that was hidden. So the school board hid it, did nothing about it, and lots of victims here. So I would think that the last thing that New Hanover schools would be able to get away with the parents would be to hide things, to groom children in this way, to hide things from children or parents, excuse me. I mean, have you touched on that at all?
I've mentioned it on the past few occasions that I've talked about it, because you have this community, and it's literally scarred from these allegations, these actual things that happened. I mean, the perpetrator admitted to it, and now there's this lawsuit that's going on, and so it is in our faces all the time as a district. And you'd think that would cause people to become outraged at a policy and a policy like this. And so I'm hoping that the more that we spread the information, the more that we share this with people, the more outraged they get, and they say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We're not going to allow you to do this with our kids. They're our children, and you can't groom them. And more people may pull kids from schools, unfortunately, but this has to be a wake-up call for our community. It has to be.
Well, I agree. And so what we're going to do, obviously, we are wanting to support great candidates like you. In fact, we've endorsed you for your eventual win on the state school, or on the New Hanover school board, excuse me. But, we're also backing state candidates who are willing to do stuff about this. We've been very critical of Senator Mike Lee, who is in your town and who has touted during the campaign, patting himself on the back for putting shrinks in all the schools. He doesn't see a problem with that at all. And in fact, I just watched a video where his spokesman,
it's me.
Okay. We're having all phones go off. That's what the life of moms, right? Where Senator Lee's spokesman, addressed a crowd who was in your neck of the woods that was pretty critical of him, and said, look, the crowd was saying, we're not having it. We do not want healthcare. We don't want government shrinks in our schools. And he hasn't been receptive. Has he addressed this to your knowledge?
He and I have not had a conversation about that at this point, but I am in agreement with you. This is not, we don't need more state psychologists. We don't need more of that. We need to just change the focus back. We need to change the focus back. And it's not the school's job. Like I keep saying, I know I say it over and over, but it's just,
Can't believe it's not more evident to people.
right. Like it should be so clear. And it was never the school's job to give, if my mom wanted me or my sister to have any kind of counseling, she sought it herself, and she was a single mom. And so it was hard to pay for, but she found a way. And so that's like it. I'm sorry, like there's so many things just going through my head, but it's beyond the scope of their ability. And I took, when I was a little younger, I don't want to say how much younger, but when I was younger, I actually trained to become a counselor for a little while, and I am an educator. And so those trainings are vastly different. And the way that you manage children and the way that you address them, it's so different. And so to expect teachers to have any idea of how to diagnose, of how to refer, or any of those things, it's not within the training that I received when I was going through college. And a counselor isn't a teacher either. So it's two separate entities, and it needs to stay two separate entities.
Right. With a wall of privacy there, and with permission. Education, to educate someone, it means to deposit knowledge. Quite literally, that's what it means. Psychologists pull knowledge, so it's a different push-pull method. You're so right if you just look at it that basic way. So we're going to be supporting your candidacy. Like I said, May 7th, we have a day of action where we're going to get 100 people out on the ground, knocking on doors to help Wilmington, New Hanover more broadly. You're in crisis right now. I mean, you guys are under siege. Like it's so bad. I mean, we see other liberal districts like Orange and Durham, and it's bad there. But Wilmington, you've got, again, Republicans. I always say this, not all Republicans are created equally. You've got Republicans acting like progressives.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So May 7th from 9 until 2, we're going to be hitting the streets, and we're going to be knocking on doors as teams, and we're going to be getting out the vote for Melissa. And there's 3 other conservative candidates. Do I have that correct?
There's a total of 5 candidates, but it just depends on your viewpoint of how conservative all of them are.
Okay, well, we've only endorsed you, that I do know, and that will speak for itself. So tell us about you, Melissa, the woman, not the myth. We've already unpeeled the myth. Now let's hear the woman.
So I am a mom first. That was my job, that I was blessed with 2 boys. They are 12 and 10, and they are energetic, and they are exciting, and they keep my life very busy. But I'm also an educator of 17 years. I taught special needs kids for 13 years, and now I'm teaching at the college level. And not only that, but I'm a military wife. My husband has been on 2 tours to Afghanistan, and so I had to hold down the house, hold down the front. The second time he went, my oldest was 2, and it was 2 days after my youngest had been born. Wow. So I had a toddler and an infant, and I survived. So we know that I can survive a lot. Yeah. But the whole reason that I'm running, like there are 3 main reasons that I'm running. Our schools are unsafe, and so we need to make them safe. I mentioned before, we have so many kids and so many parents pulling their kids from our schools. We absolutely have to restore the trust that's been lost over the past 2 years. We have individuals who have voted a way that did not align with many of their beliefs. And so they've lost trust. And so we absolutely have to restore that trust. And then what we talked about today, parents' rights, they're so important. I mean, I'm a mom. And so this is one of the big things for me. When you step on how I parent, when you decide or try to determine how I parent, that fires me up. And so it is my biggest purpose, I think, to really advocate for parents and give them their voice back and really just fight for them, because the past 2 years they've been ignored, they've been stomped on, particularly with this board. And it's been pretty, hate to use the word, pretty deplorable how they've been treated over the past 2 years. And so really my whole campaign is those three main things, but there's so many things that fit under that. And this that we talked about absolutely fits under safety and under parent rights. And so that's what's most important to me.
Well, good. So we do expect for everybody out here to remember this will not stop unless we stop it. And so what does that mean? Obviously, running for school board, sharing this video, sharing stuff on Facebook, making sure people get out to vote. You've got to get out to vote. So May 7th, we are going to do our part to stop this by meeting. Is to be discussed at a location in Wilmington. And I mean, look, we're going to put on a pair of walking shoes. You're going to be with great friends, people on the ideological right side, right, who are willing to do something for our children, and get out there for a good cause, knock on doors, meet neighbors, because a lot of people don't know about this, as we talked about, Melissa. They don't know. They need to know, right? So we need to do our part to go and tell everybody what's going on in Wilmington, how they can save these children. We will let people know well in advance how they can sign up. And we're looking to do great things, and we're looking for you to completely turn this board around, I'm sure with the help of others, but we've got to get it done.
If nothing else, we need to reveal all of this that's going on, all of the things that have been hidden behind in all of these little meetings that nobody watches, and we have to reveal these things. If nothing else, the community needs to actually know what is happening in our schools, because our schools impact the rest of the community. So
yeah. I mean, we've got to save the children big time. Definite mandate. So, well, thank you for coming on, and thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for speaking out. And yeah, this is going to be a great service to others. Make sure, guys, you pick 10 people that you're going to share this with. Not only people that, are parents, but other people wider in the community, maybe people, living in Wilmington, but we got to get the word out. So do your part, share. All right. Thank you again for coming on. What a perfect time to end.